What's going on, Dragon Ballers? I am back from the Chicago Regional. Had an awesome time. More on that later. I had to get this video out on this ban list. This is insane, guys. To get back from this regional and see this announcement. The week's content, I guess, will be a little bit weirdly ordered. I guess I'll do the top 16 breakdown tomorrow. And then the following day, I'll do my deck profile for my third place deck. And we'll do a little bit more stuff the rest of the week. So I guess it's going to be a little bit weirdly structured. So stick with me on that. But guys, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe, hit that bell so you don't miss a video. We're going to get right into this discussion. So we got a new ban list at like 4 a.m., I guess Sunday night, Monday morning. And man, did they drop a ban list. I was hoping for something pretty big, and I think this is just about as big as it gets. And again, man, I got to spoil it, I guess. Gogeta 7 missed the list. It's pretty sad. It's pretty saddening. But anyways, the rest of it's pretty cool. Let's give it a read. All right, we've got announcement, Series 9 Ban Limited Errata card update. Hello, Dragon Ball Super card game fans. Starting with Series 9, we have 3 new banned cards, 1 card moving from limited to banned, and 1 new errata for our list. Banned cards, objection. Reasoning. Objection's existence affects every other card we design, greatly limiting future card design. This is interesting. This is a very, very vague reasoning. They usually give us at least like a little paragraph, something a little bit more descriptive, telling us, you know, why they wanted the card to be banned. And this was a card on people's radar when Shenron Ramp was as dominant as it was, like during Nat's format, a little bit before that. I'm pretty surprised they still felt like they needed to touch this card because it hasn't really been played. Like, even Piccolo Gogeta isn't playing this card really. Like, some lists are maining it, some lists are siding it. And it is really obnoxious to a point. I've always kind of thought that ramping the 1 energy for the 2 cards and having to run a ton of extra cards, I thought that was a little bit worth it, like a good trade-off, you know, like having to clamp your deck essentially and, you know, be able to ramp. I thought it was a fair trade-off, but I guess Bandai sees otherwise. I'm not upset this card's gone. I'm totally fine with it. I mean, it just means that Gogeta decks really have to wait till turn 5 unless you have like a leader that ramps or something along those lines, because you do need the 5 energy to Gogeta 7 your opponent. So overall, I'm okay with this. I'm pretty okay with this. It's probably another reason why they won't hit Gogeta 7 now, just another excuse to say, and Bandai's not making the excuse, but a lot of people make the excuse that, oh, now you have to wait till turn 5 to Gogeta your opponent. While that is true, that card's still stupid. But anyways, the next ban card, Unyielding Spirit Trunks. This is one that I don't think anyone expected. This card wasn't really doing anything at 1, but let's read their reasoning. This card becomes extremely powerful when combined with Invoker from Series 9, severely limiting future card design. We are moving this card from limited to banned. That is really interesting. Well, this kind of sucks for the Gohan deck that I released. I mean, you can still play the deck. It just sucks that, you know, if you tap out and want to go to untapped, you get like, you can't really do it anymore. But, you know, this is a weird one. Like, I see what they're saying about Invoker, you know, tapping out for 3 for the new Vegeta Invoker, deflect barrier, really powerful. And then just having the unyielding to get the energy back up if you're not able to awaken or whatever. That is really, really strong. This is an unsearchable one of in that deck, though, so that's kind of interesting. And we have a ton of untap hate right now, so that's definitely something to keep in mind. We have a lot of untap hate. So this card was a weird pick, but I guess their reasoning makes sense, I guess. And, you know, you could throw Bean in the slot, and, you know, you can't go from tapped out to untap with Bean. You do need to have an energy to use Bean. But I guess you could throw Bean in the same argument. Some people do want Bean to be banned, but I'm still with my teammate Pat in saying that Bean kind of keeps the game on its back in a lot of ways, especially defensively. Like, I wouldn't be necessarily upset about a Bean errata that it can only be used defensively and not offensively for, like, you know, aggro pushes. But defensive Bean is really good. I've always thought that defensive untap was generally okay to make value plays. One of the reasons I thought Button was okay, but again, I'm not really upset that Button's banned either. It's not something I'm gonna miss too much. Tianshan Returning Fire, another banned card. Yes, this is big. This is big. Tianshan Returning Fire, in my opinion, it makes you unable to play blue. I've said this a lot on the channel here, but it seems like Tien was printed to help people combat Janemba when Janemba was really dominant. But Janemba, ironically, is the blue deck that can play around Tien the most. Other blue decks actually have to tap energy to try and win the game, and Tien really punishes you for that. Dimension Magic, obviously, is a really strong card. Senzu Bean, defensively, is a really strong card, and offensively, Tien also stops offensive Senzu Bean, but it was just so hard to play blue. Like I said it in my deck profile, you guys will see Wednesday. One of the main reasons I didn't play a blue deck is because Tian's a card. It's just way too difficult. So let's see the reasoning. This card's effect creates a one-sided and unfun play pattern. Going against our goal is to create an enjoyable game with lots of interaction and decision making. That's totally true. Like, yeah, you can interact with Tian. It doesn't have deflect or anything like that. It doesn't have barrier. But the problem is the blue counterplays, they all pretty much put Tian back in the hand, and he's a 1 mana, so they're just going to replay the Tian, and that's going to be a big problem for you. You know, you're going to spend 1 energy to either absolute release ball it, or maybe you'll spend 2 to You're Wide Open it. You put it back in their hand, they're going to spend another energy just to play the Tian and kind of screw you there. So, yeah, I totally agree with this. Tian definitely deserves to be on the ban list. Such a strong broken card. Mercenary Tower Ruthless Trainer. This one I'm very okay with. It makes sense they're going to ban this card. It really makes perfect sense because they're pushing hand control pretty hard in set 9. So it's a good business move. I mean, obviously, to stay afloat, Bandai has to sell product to make money. I wouldn't call that like an evil, money-hungry move. It's a move they have to make to stay afloat. But also, I do think Mercenary Tau is pretty stupid. Like, the Topo interaction, it's really interesting. Like, it is a cool counterplay. I think Tau is a pretty cool counterplay to Topo because you still do lose out on card advantage. It is pretty obnoxious when you establish multiple Taus and then swing into a Topo because your opponent's obviously losing a lot more cards at that point. But yeah, again, they're pushing hand control. It is very difficult to play hand control. Hand control hasn't been relevant since Slug was topping like really sparsely here and there, very, very infrequently. And Tau was still a card, but they had to main deck the answers. They had to main deck the double impact Krillins. Kind of interesting too how Android just got a new 2-drop that pops 2-drop barriers. But I mean, yeah, I guess you can pop other 2-drop barriers. There are a few in the game. So let's read the reasoning. This card's effect creates a one-sided unfun play pattern going against our goal to create an enjoyable game with lots of interaction, decision making. Okay, I guess they're being a little bit lazier on the reasoning here, but it makes sense. Again, like I said, it's really hard to play hand control with a deck like this. They just released the new Broly Crown of Retribution, which Tau doesn't really allow you to play easily. So I'm okay with it. Makes sense, I guess. Errata cards. This is also another big one. We got to give it up for Bandai for this one. This is another big one here. Broly, for the longest time, has been arguably the most dominant leader in this game. He wasn't super prevalent at the Chicago Regional. He still did make top cut, but with Button, with Storm, with Lineage, Height of Mastery, so many crazy builds, Broly was kind of the new SS3 in the sense that he was so generically powerful with the tricolor build as well, the blue, green, yellow, things like that. Like, you just take the best engines, the strongest engines, and Broly really makes them, way better. He has Inherent Self-Awakening. He has a lot of card draw. He has the ability to restand any threat, and that was always broken with Mirror Creator, Absorbed, and Champa. So keeping that in mind, let's see what they errata this to and the reasoning. So reasoning, this card can be used with a wide variety of decks, and as a result is very powerful, creating an imbalance for leaders. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what I just got done saying. I totally agree there. Pre-errata. Auto, when this card attacks, draw 1, activate main once per turn, choose one of your opponent's battle cards and switch it to rest mode. Activate main once per turn, choose one card in your life, add it to your hand, choose up to one of your cards in rest mode, and switch it to active mode. Post errata. Auto, when this card attacks, draw 1, activate main once per turn, choose one of your opponent's battle cards and switch to rest mode. Activate main once per turn, choose one card from your life, add it to your hand, choose this card or up to one of your Broly BR cards and switch it to active mode. Oh man, did they just kill this leader? Did they just kill Broly BR? This is so interesting. This is such a huge change. Like, some of the ones that people were suggesting were only untapping yellow cards. I think that was one of the main ones, or untapping green or yellow cards since it's meant to be like a green yellow deck or whatever. But only untapping Broly BRs. This is really, really interesting. This means your deck can be a lot less generic. This makes Mira way less good in this deck. I mean, you could still go Mira Cooler Champa on turn 4. It's a guaranteed 2 damage instead of 3, so you can still do that. It's pretty interesting, but you're only untapping Broly BR cards. So really, the only card you're really benefiting with this leader is the Broly Arrival, the 6-drop All-Out Assault Super Saiyan Broly, because when you do untap him, he gets his ability again, so you can pop something or you can tap something and draw a card. That's still good. Maybe Broly will only see play as green-yellow so far, or going forward, I guess. Because going into set 9, we have Cell green-yellow, and we have Jiren green-yellow. I guess Broly would fit well in that scheme because Jiren and Cell don't seem too overpowered, and I think Broly is still strong enough to compete with those guys. I guess time will tell though, but this is a really interesting errata. I mean, I think that was actually the perfect errata because it keeps the leader playable within its archetype, but it makes it, you know, no longer SS3 in my opinion. Let's see what the implementation dates are. North America, which is what a lot of us care about, but you guys can see a lot of the other time dates right here on the screen. North America, February 7th, 2020. That's pre-release weekend for Set 9, right? Yeah, because I think Set 9 comes out the weekend after that. So that's pretty cool. The week before, or I guess technically you can play with Set 9 cards during pre-release weekend, so they're legal then, but the main set actually comes out the next weekend, I believe. There are no other changes to being made to the banned limited errata list at this time. We plan to announce the next update prior to release of Series 10. We are dedicated to developing a game that Dragon Ball fans and the card game fans alike can enjoy. Thank you for continued support. Bandai, when you do stuff like this, I can't help but support you guys. I think you guys are doing a great job. I really don't disagree with any of these bans or erratas. I think Broly is great. Tao is great. Tao like is acceptable. You know, I didn't think it needed to go, but I'm happy with it. Tien absolutely needed to go. Unyielding was a weird one, but I'm not super upset about it. I did actually want to mess around with that Gohan deck more, but you know, it is what it is. And Objection, I'm totally cool with that. I think you guys are doing a great job. Just please, someone from Bandai, please message me. Tell me why you're not hitting Gogeta. I need to know, guys. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments below about this list, and I will see you next time.